Thanks for staying with us here on Breakfast Central. Let's go straight to the front pages of the newspapers. You can be part of it by calling the number you'd find shortly on your screen. Joining us is Public Affairs Analyst Fari Feisty. Dr. John is here. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning. It's good to be here.
Morning,
Yes.
Dr. John. You're in very Friday spirit.
Yeah.
Yes, he
At
is.
least I'm
He
taking
is.
a clue from you guys.
Friday is here. And I know that one of the stories I want you to quickly touch on is here already. I can bet it that it will be on the front page. Let me look for it as I start off. Okay, fine. Yes, Nigerian Tribune. Nigerian Tribune. That's where we're starting from. The Nigerian Tribune. Let's go there quickly. Presidential prerogative of mercy at review stage, not final. Dun, 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 dun. AGF, that's what the Attorney General of the Federation is saying. Rivers government cancels 134 billion naira Secretariat reconstruction contract awarded by Iboete. And my agenda for INEC, Amopita, speaks while during screening. But let's go straight into it because I want us to really use the best of the time that we have. Let's go to the presidential prerogative. The AGF has come out to say, oh, Nigerians, relax. We're on another stage now. It's called the final stage. It is the review stage. We had
review, wow.
We had.
I didn't know review is French.
Yeah. Comme ci, comme ça. You know, we had.
Anyhow you see it, you take it.
we had a legal practitioner who sat here and told us clearly that the staging thing, it's a bit worrisome.
Strange.
I don't know. What's your take?
So, we are going to be a bit philosophical with all of the processes. And I'm going to start from an unlikely angle this morning. When you talk about somebody being the special advisor to the president on strategy and communication, his job is not to abuse people. His job is to do what we call preemptive analysis of any content that will be given out. And you advise your principal. When you talk about a president, is a very, very small fraction of the presidency. In other words, the president cannot, in fact, it doesn't matter whether you put a 22-year-old person as the president, his eyes cannot cover all the complexities that are involved in governance of a complex nation like Nigeria. That is why he has these people in strategic positions. And because of, number one, lack of education, I am being clear on that. Because of lack of education, because of always wanting to politicize everything, we take the role of an attack dog instead of taking the role of a proper advisor. For instance, the job of a special advisor on communication and strategy, like I've said, when you do preemptive analysis of anything that is going to go out there, you look at the name, one after the other. What offense did this person commit? How will the community take this thing we are doing? Then, from your own analysis, you come back to your principal and say, sir, we will not be able to go out with this kind of information yet. But when you don't do that, when your job looks as if it is to attack everybody, then you expose your principal to communal ridicule, to the point that your principal or his office will say one thing, and the community will condemn that, and will run back again and say, that is not what we mean. That is very, very important. And that's why I say, the same way we say that, oh, somebody who wants to be a minister of health or education should be a professional in that regard.
Yeah.
We must also pay a particular attention to engagement and communication with the community people. The biggest problem we have in Nigeria today is not corruption, like many of us have said in the past. Further study has revealed that it's a disconnect between followership and leadership, to the point that even when your leaders are doing what is right, you don't believe them. We cannot build a community like that. So that is why you are seeing today now that they have said one thing. This is totally strange. This is the first time that Nigerians will be made to read a preview when they are supposed to have a public display of the authentic list. And it's simply because of the fact that people across board have not done their job. For instance, I'm going to go a bit deeper. When you see your policeman on the road, and he's not paying attention to much of crime the way you want him to pay attention to crime, and he's stopping some few people and collecting money from them, he's working based on experience. Because the criminal he caught yesterday was freed at the court level, and they are threatening his family. The ones that are not freed at the court level are hiding under presidential clemency to get freedom. I'm not going to mention name, but go and look at the list.
He's also worried about his pension and gratuity.
Everything worries him, and that's the truth. So when you see the implication of this, we even read from one of the newspapers, according to their investigation, that even EFCC, ICPC, and even NDLA are not comfortable with this kind of decision.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you were embodying crime. Some of the people who were victims of the crime, their families have been crying. That's it. This violent crime is against our family. How did we get to a point where suddenly we're having presidential pardon for this same set of people? How do you want the community to feel? So there's been failure in every aspect of this list that was brought out. And it's simply because of the fact that people did not do their due diligence. There's a Presidential Amnesty and Clemency Committee, which is supposed to be the start point of all of these things. They didn't do enough of their due diligence. Now, we can even pardon the Council of State, because usually when if you have an opportunity to know what's happening there, when you present a list like that, there's no time for them to be picking the name one after the other and be Googling that, oh, what did this person commit? So usually when they bring the list, they just believe that the committee has done its due diligence, and they just give approval, and that goes like that.
And this is a very key thing that you mentioned, because again, I will still keep going back to the interview. Joe had asked Mr. Temitope Ajayi, did the president go through this list? Did he see this list? And he said, it's a stupid question. How can you say it's a stupid question? When, just like you've explained, we recognize that the president can't attend to everything. He trusts his people. So where does the bulk of the responsibility lie, or where does this blame lie? Because it seems that, yes, they are mentioning that what they're doing is procedural, it's the last step, but the pardon has already been granted. You can't unpardon a pardon, at least so far. That's what we know.
I beg your pardon.
So, if the pardon has been given, you are now coming to say you want to review the list, putting the cart before the horse. Like, where does the blame lie?
You see, unfortunately, the essence of leadership is to be present in problem and absent in praise. Either you like it or not, the blame comes to the doorstep and the table of the president.
Absolutely.
It's respect, and that's why they call it presidential pardon. Because the expectation in the community is that the president must, of a fact, see it and give the go-ahead. But let me paint a very gory picture of how the presidency works. There was an incident recently, and you will know that this government has been extremely popular for appointing and de-appointing, or disappointing, or it's been very popular. And people must be held responsible. Let me tell you the last thing that happened, because it's within our community. They've appointed executive directors for the NTA, for Nigerian Television Authority.
Oh, yeah, remember that one.
And after back and forth, they have to withdraw their appointment and told them that let status quo remain. Further investigation by one particular newspaper revealed that the Minister of Information was not aware that it was somebody in the presidency that sold the idea to the presidency again, that, oh, these people, they are not performing well, let us change them. An approval was given, announcement was made. You cannot continue to ridicule my president. President Tinubu is my president. You cannot continue to ridicule him. Unfortunately, everybody around him seems to be bent on the need to embarrass the president publicly, because they know that everything goes here. But everything does not go. The first thing you learn in political communication, clear, is the fact that you must not embarrass your principal by giving out information that you will go back to edit. You give out the information now, you now return it, you go and edit.
So
why this is like this is that people mistake their job to be attack dog of the president. And you cannot continue to be, you see, they say you throw stone at every dog that barks. There's a difference between leading a government and leading a protest. If I'm leading a protest, I will say the president does not dress well. I'm leading a protest, but you are leading a government. You will not respond to me with that kind of energy.
Yeah. Very true.
Because the essence of government is to unite your community. If you divide it by your word, you will not be able to unite it with your action.
They probably think it's part of their KPI.
It is not. And when you look at them very well, the way to know credible people is the way they respond. Everything in life is not action alone. It's your response. If you respond to some people in a certain way, it will be as if you pour cold water on them. They will go and calm down and sit down. This is it. You cannot, again I say it, you cannot continue to embarrass my president. And my president must take action against those people who continue to embarrass him publicly at every point in time.
From
policy reversals.
It's too much. Policy reversals are just too much.
From
it's like there's a
Qatar and Dubai deal,
It's not a good look. It really doesn't make, I mean...
The NTA issue, there's so many of them.
The concept of nation branding, and I think I was here and I said it, I went on a course for nation branding. And throughout the course, I was quiet and tears were coming out of my eyes because I saw the way we have all demarketed our nation as a people. Now performance is less important than perception in nation branding. You need to create a perception that you are a serious-minded country. But when you take one step forward and take two steps backward, nobody is going to believe you. The only reason why they will believe you is that they are still doing you a favor by giving you loan. Anything outside of that, you will not be able to attract the best to your country. So what is bad is bad. It does not have any other name. Whether they say this is a preview or the original copy, they have committed a blunder and there must be a punishment for it.
Okay, let's take another story still on the front page of the paper. If we can please put back the paper up and then see some of the headlines that are there. So another story to look at here at the bottom is Ekiti has enjoyed rapid economic growth in 3 years, according to Banji. PDP are shaken by defections, ready for landmark convention in Ibadan. Let's start with that.
Sorry.
It sounds comical, right?
You couldn't hold back the laughter.
And you're wondering, on what planet is this happening?
How? I think this is the most shocking thing that has happened. Like PDP feels like a story of how the mighty have fallen.
Yeah.
How did PDP get to this place? And really, is there still hope for PDP?
Okay. Can we begin from the template of PDP when it became popular, extremely popular? It became extremely popular in 2023. 2003.
Yeah.
PDP was not that popular in 1999. It was popular in 1999, but there were a lot of disbelief. But in 2003, they were able to buy people to their side and took over from the Southwest governor, hijacked some AMPP states and all of that. So it became something. And one of them had arrogantly come out then that they were going to rule for 50 years. That was the mindset. That was the mindset of PDP, upon which their forefather built their, what's it called? Their futuristic vision. Now, we have seen that the same thing that they did now is becoming their undoing.
Yeah.
One thing I want to make clear this morning is that no matter how you may dislike the policy of the sitting president, some of the politicians need to go and attend his class of his consistency. And I told you, speaking from political philosophy and history, that in Nigeria, no inconsistent man in terms of party movement has ever become president. No one. Everyone that has become president had stayed with a political party with a semi-ideology, even if the ideology is absent. And from there, they have become what they became. But people started this problem with PDP when they were moving out. Our principal among them, very, very principal, you can't have this conversation without mentioning his name, unfortunately, was former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. He was supposed to be the rallying point. Even when PDP left power, Jonathan could not provide that kind of leadership because of his demeanor, because of the fact that he was engaged with many international engagements and all of that. They needed somebody who will stay. All of them ran. It was only the FCT minister that stayed and was able to dole out some resources to be able to manage the party. when you are talking about party management, it's one of the most capital intensive ventures that anybody can. To maintain your structure is capital intensive. Everybody in PDP seems to be dodging this responsibility. And that is why, or that is how PDP got to where it is. Now, it is ridiculous to say that all of these things that are happening will not affect PDP. It is as ridiculous as a governor telling somebody to be wearing a Shiwaju cap. It's very similar. They are the same. Now, when you look at it very well, you will discover that there's no how PDP will remain the same in the next 10 years. If the name PDP still exists, if by any reason, and the only reason why the name PDP will exist is that we have people who are in other political parties now who still have sympathy for PDP.
Who might go back if they don't get primary tickets
at the end of the day. And PDP will also even be glad to have them. All of this is the only reason why PDP will
So
remain
you don't
alive
see
for
the
next 10 years.
PDP as a formidable challenger in 2027?
Formidable. We are not talking about formidable. Nothing is formidable about PDP any longer.
So even the rules
They
of
have governors.
See, this is how,
11 governors left
yes, 11 governors left.
out of 24.
Fantastic. The problem is not the governor that is remaining. The problem is with the governors that will still leave.
Yeah.
So that's it. Because it is clear now that nobody wants to remain to hold the party together. And I understand their feeling. But they must learn from Asiwaju. If he had been jumping from one place to the other, he will not be president today. It's from history. You can check it out.
You're right.
And I do not have anything against those people who move from one political party. It is for political survival. And survivor, you cannot continue to embrace survivor and see success at the end of the day. Those people who have made something out, now maybe they are thinking the biggest vision they have is to leave from their governorship seat and become a senator. So they can realize that under APC. But again, another political prophecy that after the 2027 election, this same fate that is bedeviling or befalling PDP.
But you
will
know,
also see
it's not
befall
guaranteed anymore that the fact that you're a governor, you get an automatic seat in
the
the
political party.
Senate. People still
Oh,
vote.
yeah, that's-
I mean, Darius Ishaku, the former governor of Taraba State, lost.
Yes, even-
Bikule Amosu also lost the senatorial.
Even the man from Makodi, Benue,
Yes.
former governor, also lost. This
That was
happened.
part of the
G5.
Yes.
The G5 did
Yes.
not propel him.
Two things about that is that number one is that it has discredited the belief in the community that votes outrightly do not count. If you really don't want something and you vote massively for what you don't want will not come
It's
and
true.
usurp the
I
power.
mean, look at the case of the
credibility
woman
to that.
warrior in Kogi's
Yes.
Natasha.
It gives
They
credibility to
destroyed the
that.
road. All powers and principalities.
And the
was-
people still stood and they had their way.
So
The second
your vote
thing
counts.
is that the plan for most of the governors, actually, the plan is that once I leave as a governor, I'm
I'll
just
go
going
to become a legislator.
legislator. That has been the plan.
Retirement
Senator,
plan.
they are levels
Yes,
to it.
yes.
They don't go to House of Reps.
Former
Senator.
national
The
chairman,
higher house, the
former
upper
national
house.
chairman, Prince Vincent Ogbulafo, was the one who screamed that PDP will rule for 60 years
Okay.
in 2008.
I would like to
After he
interview
made that
Prince
statement,
Ogbulafo.
sometime in March, they saw him running into the APC meeting.
At the end of the
What's
day,
going on?
the thing is,
60 years now.
well, what he meant, you are the one that had 60 years. He's a Christian, and an eternity is like a day.
Okay, I believe you. Spokesperson for Mr. Ogbulafo.
Let's talk about IBAS. 134 billion naira.
Return it.
They've asked him to return 20 billion. They've investigated.
No, they asked China civil engineers.
Sorry.
Let's
Thank
be
you.
careful.
China civil engineering or whatever their name is to return 20 billion.
Yeah.
But let's get your general thoughts about this.
So when the contract was awarded, there was defense, budget defense at the National Assembly, and a lot of things were pointed out at that point in time. Oh, CCTV and all of that. That became extremely. You understand, but of course, it's a good thing to do to dig deep into what IBAS has done. But I don't want us to divorce it from the realism in Nigeria political situation. Every budget you see in Nigeria, I take responsibility for this statement. Every budget you see in Nigeria is inflated, extremely inflated. In fact, there was a contract that was awarded. I don't know. There's a contract that was awarded in my state that was supposed to connect my state to another state. So they had, let's use an example. Let's say the contract is 3 kilometers. So somebody had a picture that has snapped the board and say, oh, this contract is so kilometers to connect this state to this state. Another person now came to look at the board and say, this thing you call 3 kilometers, actually 3 billion. No. So the number of kilometers was the exact number of the billion.
100 billion per kilometer.
100 billion
cost per kilometer was
a
1 billion. Okay.
You
Are you a professor of practice?
So when people now pointed that out, I think that's one of the reasons why it's not the sitting governor of my state. I think before he came on board, that was how the governor or the government chickened out of that project. Now, also, there's a place called Ore, very popular place in along the expressway. There's a bridge there. It's less than 100 meters in reality. Now, in Oshogbo, there's another bridge there of a higher kilometer, maybe 200 or 300. Do you know that the one in Oshogbo was actually the same soil situation? The one in Oshogbo was actually given out for about 3-point-something billion. Wow. The one in Ondo was given out for 5.8 billion. Without anybody asking question. So you can point accusing fingers at IBAS, but there's a system that supports that anything that government is churning out must be extremely inflated. And that's what you have seen. From the very beginning, I've expressed my doubt about it. From the very, very beginning, I've said that most of those things are extremely too expensive. And I'm happy that the political leadership in Rivers State is able to agree that some of these things are to be revoked. And I'm so happy about that.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us. Unfortunately, our time has come to an end, but I want to give you a special shout out.
We need to move Dr. John to a Thursday.
Honestly, we cannot do Friday, so that exactly we need to flip this. But we'll have that conversation later. Your biggest fan said I should give you a shout out, my mommy. She said, make sure you greet my fave. So happy shout out.
Mommy, thank you.